Springboro City Schools. Roll call.
Bath.
Here.
Belage.
Here.
Goods.
Here.
Shyhoff.
Here.
Stuckey.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's exciting to have so many people here. We're not used to having quite so many guests, so welcome. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the agenda? Second.
Bath.
Yes.
Belage.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Shyhoff.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Can I get a motion for the approval of the November 12th meeting minutes?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Bath.
Yes.
Belage.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Shyhoff.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
All right, 2.1, we have the Springboro Education Association report. Do we have anything to report out? No. Hi. Thank you, welcome. 2.2, we have the Springboro Classified Employees Association report. Have anything to report? Nobody's here. I'm going to go with no. All right, 2.3, public participation prearranged. We do not have anybody that's requested to speak. 2.4, public participation. And the guidelines are below that if anybody would like to speak at a future meeting. 3.1, we've got work session, public participation, same thing. 3.2, Mrs. Poultry and Mrs. Stefano, we have the secondary curriculum presentation.
Good evening, everyone. We are giving you the hot off the press new opportunities that we are working on creating for Springboro High School students in the program of studies. So as you know, there is a very much so changing landscape of education and workforce readiness. So what we have done is we have worked with the high school and with the Career Center, and we're going to share with you some of the opportunities that we've created. So, one thing that you will notice in this presentation is our core principles: people first, always growing, and better together. So all of these new opportunities that we've created go along with those core principles which we're trying to develop within our school district. Okay, so the first one is goes along with the people first, and our strategic vision is grounded in what we call the 3 E's. So these are going to be 3 pathways. So when a student leaves Springboro High School, they will either go on to further their education through enrollment, they will go into the military through enlistment, or they will go into the workforce through employment. Okay, and so when students begin the high school, that's kind of their pathway. And so we have kind of structured those pathways to go along with what we call the 3 E's. Now that doesn't mean that a student is has to maintain whatever path they start on, because we definitely know that students can change their mind, okay? But we do want them to have some sort of idea of what direction they're headed. All right, the second one goes along with always growing. And these are business pathway partnership with Warren County Career Center. We've been working with the Career Center, and this right here shows results from U Science. Okay, and if you look, the blue is aptitude and the yellow is interest. So the 2 areas that we're looking at are the management and entrepreneurship, okay, and then the marketing and sales. And if you look, the yellow, which is the interest, is extremely high. So that means the students are very interested in those avenues. However, you look at the blue, okay, and that's the aptitude, that means that they do not have very much exposure to those career pathways, or those careers, clusters we should say. So what we want to try to do is we want to try to close that gap. And we want to give students experiences, so if that's what their passion is, then that's what they can pursue. So like I said, working with the Career Center, we're going to add an additional course, working with the digital designs course, and it's going to be an intro to business course, okay? And that intro to business will go along with designing, marketing, and producing and selling a product. So then the students can get that whole experience of all of those components of an intro to business, okay?
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
Can you help me understand a little bit, like, I find it interesting, like, for aptitude, it's super high for, like, supply chain and transportation.
Mm-hmm.
But something like marketing, it's super low. Like, I would have thought the opposite of, maybe I'm just not understanding aptitude enough of what determines that.
Okay, so aptitude, when students do the U Science, what they do is they take 11, like 10-minute tests, so to speak. And when I say tests, they're just, different types of, okay, what are they good at? Okay, aptitude also goes along with what they're good at, okay, where their strengths lie. And so that is one of the components that goes into aptitude as well. So that might be supply chain and transportation. I mean, they may have had a little bit of exposure to the supply chain through like junior achievement or something like that. But yeah, it is kind of, there are some, when you look at each one, it is very shocking how interesting it is, how it comes out and how it pans out. Okay? But it is, this is information that we're now getting that we didn't have 2 or 3 years ago. So it really does help us, and especially now that we're working with Montgomery County ESE, then we have our career navigator. He can help us to decipher some of this information along with the Career Center to say, okay, what are our students interested in? What are their aptitudes high in? So what do we need to work on offering, which is where the intro to business came in. Okay?
I also think that it's important to note that the Intro to Business course is part one of what we're hoping will be a longer process and a more robust pathway.
Mhm.
So it's the first course of what we're hoping to build a first sequence if we have student interest and participation. So is there potential for something like a supply chain management class in the future? We're hopeful. We're hoping that we can really build a really robust program and pathway around that with a variety of courses that feed into that.
So we already have a business class, so it will be different than our current business?
So currently, feel free to jump in also. Currently, our business courses include most of them are around personal finance, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that in this presentation. We have a little bit of sports marketing. So we're really looking at how we can kind of, I don't want to say, I guess firm up, for lack of a better word, firm up that pathway for kids to be like a sequence course set of courses that really help them arrive at a place where they're ready to engage in this work post-secondary.
All right, and then another concept that we want to bring about is a freshman success course. This has been something that guidance and many people have been asking for a very long time. So we would like to, we all know that freshmen, when they get to the high school, sometimes they're a little lost. So we want to give that foundational course, which is going to equip those students with academic, personal, and career skills for high school and post-secondary success. So like, for example, self-discovery, okay? They'll definitely learn and dig in more into school links, okay, as to using that as a component to help them towards their graduation pathway and towards their career interests. U Science, we were thinking about moving the personal finance class, giving the U Science to then the freshman class where we'll hit most of the freshmen, and then we'll have that information for a longer period of time. Future planning, okay, so exploration of college and career pathways, and then life skills. So we always know that freshmen can use organizational help, executive functioning skill help, goal setting help, digital citizenship, and self-advocacy. So we wanted to make that an elective class that's a semester-long class that will then help those freshmen be successful in their high school career. Okay, another one with Always Growing, and this is kind of where, Lisa, you were talking about, we want to offer AP Business with Personal Finance. Okay, so this is where it's really going to beef up, all right, that personal finance piece. And it's going to look a little different because these students it'll be through personal finance class. This is going to teach business management and personal financial literacy, okay, where they're going to do projects and simulated work-based experiences. Okay, so it will really help beef up that personal finance piece. And then these students will then be able to take the CTAG assessment, and we'll talk more about the CTAG here in just a second. Okay, which is right now, and this has to do with credit weighting. Okay, so some of you have heard where we're going to give extra credit to CTAG classes. What is CTAG? It is actually college credit. Students in some of those classes offered by the Career Center, the CT classes, can actually take an assessment and they can gain college credit through that assessment and through that class. If they score a certain score, and there's other criteria that they have to meet as well. So now, if it's offered and they take that CTAG test or assessment, then we will give them the extra points just like in an AP class or a CCP class. And this is a state mandated thing that was effective September 30th in 2025. So that's what we're going to be doing. Equal credit weighting, where advanced standing is recognized. And we're actually working on the POS now, okay, where we're putting this information in there so that everybody's aware that that's happening.
What is the POS?
Program of Studies.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I have a question. So does that apply that to kids taking a CTE course this year, then will apply that way? Okay. Is it,
Provided they take the CTAG.
right, and is there anything that is retroactive to previous years?
No.
There was something in law, but I think it was changed.
They talked about it, but they eliminated that portion from the
Thank
final.
goodness, because I think
Yeah.
that caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, everyone was like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to manage that? Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
In the final draft, it was eliminated.
Thanks.
Okay.
I love this about CTAG because it's taking away that stigma of the Career Center.
Mhm.
That kids that go to the Career Center are not going to end up in college. So I think having that CTAG, if they, can test with it, I think that's a great opportunity and was really doing a lot for career tech with it.
I think so as well. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to talk just about a couple of pilots that we are going to start in the second semester of this school year. So this graph maybe looks a little bit familiar from the new College Career Workforce Military Readiness Indicator that was part of our state report card for the first time this fall. And what you'll notice of the 11 ways that a student could demonstrate post-secondary readiness, one of those being to obtain the Ohio Mean Star Readiness Seal and complete 250 hours of internship or work-based approved learning activities. So this year, the data that led to our score in the fall on this indicator for the report card tells us that we had about 100 students of that graduating class who did not meet one of these indicators for a variety of reasons. Some of them we don't offer, such as pre-apprenticeship or formal apprenticeship programming, so our students at the traditional high school don't have that opportunity. Some of them we have found it's a little bit of record keeping or tracking down records, for example, listing in the military. Most often that happens post-graduation, and so finding ways where we can gather that information back so that we can report accurately to the state. But we really feel like one of the ways where we can make an impact here is that last one, which is that 250 hours of work-based learning. So what we propose this second semester is to pilot a program beginning in January where we are going to identify students who potentially are not or are at risk for not meeting one of those 11 indicators and connecting with them and their parents to see if they are currently employed. And if so, how can we honor the work that they're doing there and transform that into a work-based learning program. So our school counselors are currently working on identifying some of these students and doing some outreach to parents to educate them a little bit about what this might look like. And we are partnering also with our career navigator from the Montgomery County ESC to help manage this as we build this system, so make sure that it's sustainable for us. So students are going to start tracking their working hours, submitting their pay stubs or other verification of employment and hours completed, as well as working to complete the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal, with the goal being that by the end of the school year, they will have tracked 250 hours as well as a completion of their seal, and will therefore have met that indicator on the CCWMR. Any questions on that one?
So those kids that are struggling, that are not possibly going to meet their seals, are they the ones that we would be targeting here?
So it's interesting. What we found is it's not typical, they're not necessarily kids that we consider to be at risk for graduation or at risk for earning a graduation seal. It's that they haven't met one of these very specific 11 indicators. So for example, as we looked at specific student data, when we were developing this plan, we have, of the 100 students, let's say, 80 of them are enrolled in the university. Like they're on their way. They have, well, we would traditionally say they've proven that they are post-secondary ready, correct? However, they didn't do one of these things. So not necessarily an at-risk kid. Some of them will be, but not necessarily one that we would traditionally consider to be at risk for not meeting a seal or not meeting a graduation requirement.
But we're not meeting this, so we would intentionally are looking at the kids that are
Correct.
at risk of not having
Correct.
this
Correct.
too, and that's who we're going to target to make
Correct.
sure they're
Yeah.
tracked.
You got
I
it.
think last year we were supposed to be at 85% to get the 5-star. We were a 4-star. I think we were around 76.7 or 70, somewhere around there. So this will help us. Now that 85.
To be considered 5-star, but we'll see.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I think this is you, sir.
All right. I have a couple things to add on to some of the slides. Tara and Carrie once again told me I had 3 minutes. I'm going to do everything I can this time to stay on them. Little student incentive that we're going to try this year. We're working with our math department, not just with our Algebra 1, but also with our geometry. Our geometry score is one that we need to be better at. And we've done some things in the classroom academically, and really dove into some data that we think will help with that. And also, we felt like maybe doing something like this with this student incentive will help maybe get our kids to if they could put a little bit more effort into that score, knowing that's not really a graduation requirement, geometry meaning. So what we're going to pilot this year is an end of course exam exemption. So if a student takes the Algebra 1 geometry, which all of our freshmen and sophomores will take, and if they achieve a score of 3 or higher, they'll be able to then exempt that second semester exam in that course as long as they take the first semester exam. So it will be very similar to what we do with our AP courses for students who take the AP test. So we'd be incentivizing them to, obviously they're all going to have to take it. AP is more of a choice, this is not, but if they do really well on it, then they have the ability to exempt. It does not go into one of their other exemptions, so that's not added into their 2 or 3. So we're going to pilot that this year. We've talked about doing this for a few years. We just feel comfortable enough now to know that we're going to get our data back in time to be able to have those scores before we have our semester exams, where in the past we wouldn't get those till June. So that's what this pilot's going to be. So we're only doing it in Algebra 1 geometry. We'll see how it works, and then we'll have further discussions if we want to do that in other areas. So just a couple things to add on. As Beth and Leslie talked about, the 3 E's, we're really excited about the enrollment, enlistment, employment. We are aware that we're going to face some challenges with that. We don't want our kids to feel like that if they're really focused on enrollment, or if they're really focused on employment, that they don't have the ability to crisscross. Because we're going to have kids that are going to do that. They're going to come as freshmen and think that they're going to go into college. They might change that path, and that's okay. Also, what we're really going to have to make sure our kids understand is just because you're going into employment or enlistment does not mean that you can't take an honors AP course. That's going to be, we are going to drill, and drill that. That's going to happen. So we're going to have to be really careful about how we word that in our program of studies, and make sure that they understand that regardless of what E-path you're going down, those AP honors classes are there for you to take, period. So we're aware of that. The success course we're really excited about. We've been working on this for a few years, trying to get it implemented, trying to find a way we can do that. For our freshmen, I don't want to say we have students that we're targeting, But I would tell you that we're really going to try to get our kids who are not involved in the performing arts, not involved in a foreign language, not involved in something like that. They will have room for the success course. Some of our kids that are freshmen that are taking music classes and some other international language, they're not going to have enough room potentially in their course for the freshman success course. So we kind of know some students that we think will kind of benefit from the success course and what kids will have room in their schedule for that. So we're looking at a couple different teachers to teach that course in 2 different departments. And they'll work closely with planning and when it comes to that. So I think that's something to note for that. With the AP Business with Personal Finance, next year we're going to have that open for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Just in the first year, we want to get our numbers up. We want to try to get enough to have a good, solid class. Moving into the 27-28 school year, which will be here before we know it, what we're really targeting is then moving that AP Business with Personal Finance to freshmen and sophomores only. That would count as their personal finance course. And then kind of what they talked about with the business pathways, hopefully we'll be getting more kids to moving into AP Micro and Macro. So they'll be taking an AP Business course before they take the AP Macro or Micro, and we're thinking that will kind of help build numbers in those upper courses that typically our juniors and seniors take. So that's just a little bit more info on those slides.
Have you also taken apart the test results for algebra and geometry if there's specifically as a teacher that needs additional supports to, like, you're consistently seeing?
Yeah, we did that. We did that with our item analysis at the very beginning of the year. We were able to look at student overall data on how we did on certain release questions and standards as an entire class and group, and also we're able to hone in on teacher performance and student performance. And we all met actually as a group in one of our teachers' classrooms for an entire day, at the very beginning of the day, just diving into that data plus our data a year ago to kind of compare both of those. And we also had 2 sets of school years released data questions to really look at also the questions that students are struggling on. What are some common themes from 2 or 3 years? A lot of it's wording, a lot of it's length, and a lot of it's vocabulary, to be honest, is what we're noticing. So a lot of the 2 and 3 point questions is where the kind of the 2-part questions that they're struggling on, and a lot of it's just how it's worded. I think we've also, on the other side, have determined that they could be asking those questions in a lot easier format. I think they like wording the way they do to kind of test the kids a little bit, and some of them are struggling with that piece of it, especially with the geometry side of things.
So we actually dove into that data, that item analysis data, on our data day that we had in October that we gave teachers. And the principals, assistant principals, were very involved with going to the different departments and were able to see, and they had looked over it as well. So.
I think my only thought is, have we thought about, like, those kids who they don't have room in their schedule to help make sure that they have the support coming into high school that don't have, the flexibility to take the freshman course? Or is that
Yeah.
kind of like, because Mrs. Tucker, I feel like, does such a great job
Yeah.
in working with the incoming students and families. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because I don't want anybody to fall through the cracks.
Right. Yeah, Mrs. Tucker does, and Mrs. Lab, they do a great job with our parent meeting, as a lot of you have been through. The challenge we have with a lot of our freshmen, they want to come up, they want to take a full load. They want to take 7 academic classes. And you find that a lot with our performing arts students because your choirs, your strings, and bands are automatically going to be a period. You add that in with your 4 core courses, and then most of those kids are also taking an international language. And if not just taking one, they're already in year 2 or 3 or 4 already as freshman or sophomore. So right there, you're at 6 classes. So then you have to get in your arts, if you want to take a fine art class, you want to take an regular art class, sculpture, whatever it may be. You're also getting in your personal finance if they're trying to do that early. Some of them are taking health early, PE. So the kids who we find they're taking the performing arts and also national language are the ones who really are taking a full load, and they end up not having a study hall. So we really encourage the kids to take a study hall. It's just getting them to understand that it's okay to do that as a freshman, and they feel like they got to take everything under the sun. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, Kate does a great job with that, but that's what you talked about is something we face every single year. But then also we have this situation where we have freshmen who need more elective credit. There's just not enough electives for them to take, or they're getting closed out of them just for whatever reason. So this success course will allow that to be the case, and also we'll really be able to talk about test strategies and how to be successful as high school, and we're really, really excited about it.
I think it'll also help them set them up for success.
Yeah.
And determine kind of like what do they want to make of a high school career.
Right. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have 3.3, the athletic out-of-state trip with, oh, sorry. Wrong one. NMSI launch presentation with Mr. Tudor and our other friends.
Good evening, Madam Board President, members of the board. It's an honor for me today to stand before you. I know at each board meeting you hear me speak, but this one feels just a little bit different to me. Our students at Springboro, as a Purple Star district with all Purple Star schools, they frequently interact with military type of activities, and I know that our teachers and our counselors, our principals, especially Sandy Grable, they do such a good job locally in Springboro to support our students who are connected to military. But I think it was last spring, Mrs. Hester asked me to go on base, and I met this nice lady over here, Andrea, who's our school liaison from Wright Pat Air Force Base, excuse me. And I think that changed the relationship that Springboro has with our military-connected families, because she was able to connect us with some national groups that are really going to allow our teachers to benefit from some pretty cool professional development that then in turn is going to help support some of the STEM opportunities that we know will help our military-connected families and all of our students as well. So it is true honor tonight that I definitely heard Jeremy speak at that time to introduce Jeremy and his team. And I don't know if it's just you, but I'm going to introduce them if that's okay.
Yes.
So I introduced Andrea Edmonds, the school liaison from Wright Pat Air Force Base. We have Trish Hammond, who's with NIMSY, and then Renisha Williams, who's also there. A fantastic team who have supported us. You've got a great team, Jeremy.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to work with you. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Anderson, who's the CEO of the National Math and Science Initiative.
And congratulations on your bond initiative first. We're excited to be partnering with the district because there's a lot of great opportunity that we can bring from a national perspective on STEM educator professional development. And so nationally, we do this in about 30 states, and we do a lot with the Department of Defense STEM office, which funds us, and that's why we're doing this work with Wright Pat. We were fortunate to have Andrea invite us, and Colonel Richards actually came. We had 17 superintendents who were on base, and we were able to talk to them about the services we can provide to help with some of the STEM workforce. I was given 5 minutes. I got 8 slides. I'm going to go through this quick, but let me open it up for questions if you have any. We know that teachers have some of the biggest impact on student outcomes, and the research shows it left and right. We also know that districts spend a lot of money on teacher professional development. My parents were teachers, my wife's a teacher, my daughter's a teacher. They don't always feel like they get the most amazing professional development. And so our work with 70 staff across the country and 150 coaches nationally is to bring high-quality, world-class teacher PD to these teachers to help them move these students into real-world, high-quality, hands-on STEM trainings. This is what the workforce of the future is going to look like. If you're in a non-STEM occupation, growth is about 1.7%. If you're in a STEM occupation, it is going to grow 3.5 times faster than anywhere else. And in most of these jobs, and you can see that with some of the data here in Ohio, these are generational wealth-changing jobs if you're able to get into one of those STEM jobs and see where you're going to be in 20 years. This is a map I look at every day on my laptop because it keeps changing, but this is a map that I have some folks in DC that keep updating. These are all brand new STEM facilities that are slated to be built. There are a lot of them in the Ohio area. These are all new jobs that aren't even filled yet. And the reason that worries me is because when we look at this slide, we know that the Department of Labor shows that we're going to have 1.4 million STEM jobs unfilled by 2030. Most of those plants that are coming on board are for EV batteries, or they're for semiconductors, or they're for research or defense. Those aren't even included in these numbers because those are going to be opening after 2030. And so we do a lot of partnering with corporations. The work we're doing right here is with the DoD STEM office and part of the Defense STEM Education Collaborative that we are a part of nationally. And our work is really to try to help increase the outcomes for your students to get into those STEM jobs. Nationally, high school graduates, 18% of them go into a STEM degree. If we are able to train the teachers in a high school, and we do middle school training also, but if we're able to train the teachers in the high school and a student has just one class in 4 years with a NIMSY trained teacher, 35% go into a STEM degree and graduate within 6 years after their high school graduation. For us, it's about really opening up the doors to figure out how we can help students across the board, especially those students who are furthest from opportunity, to really be able to get into this new economy where we see a lot of emerging growth, especially in the area around Wright-Patterson. So I had meetings luckily in Columbus yesterday. Today I met with Shannon Cox from the Montgomery County Educational System, and she had great things to say about the superintendent, deputy superintendent, but we're going to be trying to do a lot of work with multiple districts around Wright-Patterson. Springboro is going to be one of the first two that we're in on. We've got a training tomorrow that we're doing in Beaver Creek also, and we have a bunch of others that we're going to be working with. But our goal is to come in and partner with you in a way that we can bring some of the federal funds from DoD STEM to help cover the cost of this professional development so that your investment is about 10% or so of what the total cost is to make this happen. And the other corporations that we work with, that's our goal, if it's not with defense, to figure out how we can bring in corporate or philanthropic dollars to help move this in a select area of school districts, but really in school districts that are ready to move on some of the STEM work. That was 5.5. So, any questions?
I think it's exciting. This really relates back to what they just presented around what are kids going to do when they get out of high school. We've got to hit them in every direction. So this sounds like an amazing opportunity, and appreciate you guys coming out for it. We're excited.
I think it says in here this is K-12, right? This is all sort of levels, or is it focused?
So a lot of the work we're doing here with Springboro is high school related. We've got some 7 through 12 science training that we're doing, and we've done a STEM leadership training already. We do middle school training also. One of the things the research continues to show is that it's between 3rd and 6th grade that most of us determine if we have a STEM identity or not. I know it was 5th grade, I figured out I didn't have one because my social studies teacher told me I'm really good at government and I'm not good at math, so I went into a political science degree. In that period, if we can train those teachers about what's necessary, is how we can move more of those students forward. The other national number, which is the same for Ohio, is that last year, 59% of our college students in America were women, and only 35% of them went into STEM, and most of those were in healthcare. So the more we can help train teachers at the middle school level and high school level to get that STEM identity, the more we're going to be able to open up those jobs for everyone.
Is there opportunity to bring it to the elementary?
We do have some K-5 programs that we are working on, and it's really important to get there. To be honest, the focus on literacy, which we believe is important, we need kids to be able to do word problems too. That focus on literacy has filled a lot of professional development spaces for a lot of the K-5 programs, but we're seeing states that are starting to open up and districts that are looking at that much more now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we have trips with the athletic out-of-state trip. And you guys feel free, if you do not want to sit here through this, you are welcome to stay. Now, it is not that exciting, but you're also welcome to stay.
The greatest introduction, but
Sorry, Austin.
You know you're not game to get to.
right. I think I was given 1 minute, so I'll try to get through this. I'm here to talk about 4 of our athletic out-of-state trips that our teams are planning to take, starting really at the end of this month. Really, just to sum up, all of these trips are funded by fundraising, no school district dollars. All of these are great experiences for our kids. Whenever I do a signing day activity and I ask what the favorite memories are, almost all the time I get answers from trips like these. So definitely valuable experience. Our basketball team is looking to go to Gatlinburg for a tournament in December. Our cheerleading competition squads, as they do each year, going down to in the season to get down to Florida and play some games. Actually, just a side note, our baseball team is looking to go down to Vero Beach, Florida. If we win a game down there, it will be Coach Pelfrey's 600th career win. He'll get to do that in Sunshine State, which would be pretty cool. And then our softball team is also looking to go to Destin. So those are all the trips we're asking for approval.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thanks, Austin. Okay, next we have the Food and Nutrition Service update from Steve Morgan. It's going to be exciting. I'm giving you a better intro than I did Austin.
So I'll be pretty short and sweet. We are just required, as a district that runs the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program, to present to the board if we were in compliance for last school year. So I'm kind of looking at last school year. So this is just looking at all food and beverage sold. So it'll be midnight the night before until 30 minutes after school. That's when we have to fall under all our regulations. 30 minutes after school, then it doesn't matter. So we were compliant with everything we sold last year. And there was no issues. We have no corrective action or anything like that. So that was pretty easy. Since I came, I thought I'd give you some data and some pictures. So just kind of looking at, I know we started breakfast last year, so we have a little bit of breakfast data. It was, kind of January was some of it, so we didn't have a ton of data for last year. But so the intermediate school, obviously, you can see a little low. We're at 13 breakfasts. It is up a little bit this year, but we're still only around like 20. Dennis is doing the absolute best at breakfast. It's really fun to watch all those kids come in and be excited, but we are at 126, and then 5 points is lower at 68. It has come up a bit this year with some new menu items we tried, so that's good. But I think for 5 points, especially when you kind of look at the free and reduced percentage for each school and compare them, I think it's still a good number. For lunches, so if it's in blue, that means it was an increase in participation from the year prior. So high school meals went up, junior high, the intermediate stayed about the same. Dennis went up, 5 points stayed about the same, and Clear Creek was up a little bit. So overall, when you look at our lunches from last year, we were up in total sales, which is great. I also just put the average like extra entrees per day, especially at the high school. Some of the kids refuse to make a meal, so that's not going to be in the meal data. That is going to be extra entrees, and some kids just like to get 2 or 3 extra entrees. So I put that in there so you can see high school might be serving less meals than, say, 5 points, but they're actually producing a lot more food, and then do a ton of other snacks and things like that. I also did lunch participation, and I did that off of like the enrollment at each building. Other than Clear Creek, I did it off of just first grade enrollment because those are the only kids we have access to feeding. So it would look a little wonky if I put all the kids. So you can kind of see that. The highest was actually Dennis, so Dennis went up quite a bit last year. And then our overall free and reduced percentage continues to kind of go up a little bit compared to past years, so we were almost at 14%. And then I also just put the total lunches and extra entrees there for you guys to see. So the only other thing to report on from last year is we had our administrative review and our procurement reviews last year by Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. Those both went great, so we should not have those again for 5 more years, which is nice. And then I just did a couple updates of kind of like what's going on this year, just so you can see. So we had a lot of fun during National School Lunch Week. My staff loved it. The kids loved it. So it was really nice to bring that this year. That was the first time we've kind of like celebrated that. And we have National School Breakfast Week coming up, I think in March. So I know we're going to do something for that too, because the kids really loved it. But we had lots of like celebrity servers, different principals, assistant principals, and then police officers from both Springboro and Clear Creek Township. So it was great, and I just wanted to point that out. And then this year, so we did Bibbidi Bop last year for the high school. We brought it on for the junior high this year, and they're loving it and super excited. We're continuing to partner with Domino's, so we do that once a month at the elementaries and then twice a month at the junior high and high school. And then another big thing the kids are loving this year that we put on the menu to try both at breakfast and we just started it at lunch at the junior high and high school is fresh made smoothies. I applied for a grant through the American Dairy Association. So we got all that equipment for free. They came in, they trained the staff, and now we're making them for the kids and they're super excited. Only other thing in the food service world that's like coming down the pipe is we got the final rule for some new meal standards, and they're kind of each year something's changing for the next couple years. So there was some nice things like some flexibilities with breakfast where you used to have to do a lot of grains at breakfast, which ends up being like cereals and kind of more high sugar things. So they're allowing like if you wanted to do all protein versus grain. So that's nice for breakfast, and we've done some different things that especially the kids at 5 points are really liking. But there are some changes they're gonna do where we have to start tracking added sugar. So this year it's just at breakfast. I believe next year is when it's gonna be like, you have to look at the whole week average. So that might take some different options away that the kids really like unless they get reformulated. And then in 2 years, the sodium is actually gonna get stricter. So they had kind of stopped, but now it's getting a little stricter. So those are kind of some things, menu planning, I'm gonna have to look through. We are trying to do a little bit more scratch cooking this year to get ready for that, because that's gonna help with sodium. Surprisingly, my staff actually like having to do the scratch recipes, so those are just some things I'm working on, but that's really all I have. If you guys have any questions?
Can you just refresh my memory for breakfast? Is it just free and reduced? They get it for free, or how do we?
Yeah, so breakfast works just as lunch. Each kid, depending, do they qualify as free, reduced, or paid, which would be full price. That's exactly how breakfast is. And every time that I like go into a school and I'll watch lunch and I have to like pull numbers, I actually look and see how many kids are like free or reduced that are part of the total participation, and it's actually less than you think, especially at breakfast. Like Dennis, most of those kids are actually not free or reduced. So.
Interesting. That's what I was just wondering,
Yeah.
if they also had the opportunity, or if it was just a free.
Yes.
reduced. That's really interesting,
Mhm.
what that data is showing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have 3.6 is the final ranking resolution. Mr. Schaefer.
All right, good evening, Madam Board President and members of the board. I come before you to share information about our final ranking resolution. So if I take you back, I was authorized at one point to advertise for a construction manager at risk qualifications. We posted that in the Dayton Daily News. We had 5 firms that submitted qualifications. We ranked them. We then created a short list of 4 firms. They then presented some proposals to us. Really neat process. We were able to bring them in for a pre-proposal interview where we asked them questions. They then submitted their proposals. Excuse me, I had that backwards. They asked us questions about what the project really entailed. Then we got to see their proposals, which was ultimately the price that they would charge for an administrative fee with this, along with their proposed staffing, their timeline, some value adds that they would bring. And then we brought them back for a final time and we were able to interview them. We then ranked them based on their proposals, combined the qualifications with the proposals to come up with a final ranking. So I'm here just to share information that we do have a representative from the top-ranked firm. Jake Sewer is with us today. He is the Vice President of HGC Construction. And the resolution is going to recommend that we'll work with them. So very rigorous process. All the firms did a great job. We really liked HGC. Their leadership was great. Maybe I should start there, right? In all honesty, we think that they're going to bring a student aspect to this that really set them apart from other firms. The partnerships that they're going to be able to bring for subcontractors, we think, are really going to create a competitive atmosphere when we go to bid on different projects within that CMR. Their leadership is great. I can attest to one of their superintendents that I actually built a school with previously is absolutely fantastic. So very top-notch firm, and we're excited to potentially, hopefully work with them here in a few minutes. So.
Questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next we have 3.7 and 3.8 with board meeting dates and the board organizational meeting dates.
highlights. We did receive in just over 1.6 million, so obviously that's a lot less than we're used to seeing in revenue because we're not receiving tax advances. 1.4 million of that was our state funding, and then 157,000 was our miscellaneous revenue sources for school fees, tuition, paid participate fees, and interest on investments. On the expense side, though, we have our typical normal monthly expenses. We're just under 6 million, so a little over 5.9. We did have a principal and interest payment for our energy conservation project that we did in 2014. That typically comes this time of the year. That will mature in 2034, so that was 293,000. All categories are still coming in under budget through November, which is great. Typically, we're around 41 to 42% of our spend for the year, and we're at 40%, so we are under budget across the board. We closed November with 95 days of cash on hand, so everything is looking really good. And then not to forget too, we have our February is our new forecast period, so I'll be starting to work on the forecast for February coming up here. And I'm looking on the tax budget now, so that'll be another piece of that. But we have to vote on this separately.
Yep. Can I get a motion to approve the November 2025 financial statements?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Bath.
Yes.
Palage.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Schleifer.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yep.
Item 4.2, approval of a donation of $300 from GAC Fitness for the back to school bash. Item 4.3, approval of a donation of $1,000 for the JROTC program. The list of those donors are listed there for you. Item 4.4 is approval of a donation of $300 from the Optimist Club for Springboro to the Destination Imagination program. Item 4.5 is approval of a donation of $1,000 from the Drum Corps International Group for us letting them use our facilities to host their battalion on July 29th. Item 4.6, this is an approval to add a fund called Friends for funding for the future. This was really interesting. A lady named Janet Irvin, who's a local resident, she was also a teacher at Springboro way back. She gives often for her group gives often. She has a group called Take a Kid to Lunch, and it's a nonprofit that she started by herself, and now it has over 300 members and growing. And it's a private group, and they look to find different things out in other communities, not just ours, but local school districts around, and look where there's a need, and then their group provides dollars towards those needs. And so they give a lot to our student meal balance account. You'll see their name on here regularly for that. So she reached out and said, is there anything else that you guys have needs, for that we can also contribute to? And so I mentioned that sometimes we do have children who struggle to pay their school fees. We get a lot of donations that do help towards that, but there usually are some that are not covered. And so they would like us to set up a fund where they can start donating money to help with school fees too, in addition to the other fund we already have that helps with lunch. And then they're also going to give towards our Purple Star accounts. And so that's another thing they're going to be giving to. So we would like to set up a fund for that in order to do that. And item 4.7 is the approval of a donation for a Donors Choose project totaling $1,564.72 for Stock the Store to teach daily money and budgeting, help give my students a real-world simulation with Mrs. Roth, a teacher at Springboro High School. And then last but not least, item 4.8 is the approval of the donation of $187,668.37 from the Warren County Foundation for the Wakefield turf project. And that is actually for the Cook Family Fund that is housed at the Warren County Foundation. That was part of an agreement where they would set aside concession donations for Wakefield to help for when their field needed to be replaced. So this is their portion.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Can I get a motion for the approval of items 4.2 through 4.8?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bath.
Yes.
Palage.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Schleifer.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have the superintendent report. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. Sorry, that was my wrong.
Oh.
Jumped ahead.
Okay, superintendent report with, yes.
So 5.1, Madam President, members of the board, is requesting your approval for the out-of-state trips to Denver, Florida.
Two Floridas.
Two Floridas.
Three
floaters with the
All the
fan.
trips, yes, all of the
So
trips.
everybody's good together.
Great. Can I get a motion for the approval of the out-of-state trips?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Bab?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Schleifer?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
Thank you.
5.2 with policy revision.
Yes, 5.2 is due to the passage of pieces, and a lot of it is just wordsmithing, but they still, our consultant said there will probably be some more revisions because of the debate on what new laws mean. But for us, the policies here that need to be revised due to wordsmithing, like for example, adding the term alternative vehicle to all of our policies needs to be done, but most important, the new policy would be that our van drivers do not need a CDL license, but they will be subject to random drug testing if you approve the policy.
Well, let me ask, can I get a motion? No, we don't need a motion for this. Okay, so let me ask my question. One of the special updates you had, it says Ohio has passed a new requirement for special education vans to have emergency seatbelt cutters on board the vehicle. Our policy will not reflect this requirement. Why would we not reflect that?
I have that we will have them on to have a, so I don't know.
I think that might be an error, because if I recall, we are gonna,
Yeah, they are looking at it.
so I think the not should not have been there.
Okay, because I'm reading what was given to
Yeah.
us, the policy revision, and it says it will not be included, like the third bullet down.
Okay. That's probably a misprint because.
Okay, so maybe just
Yes.
make sure we get that, the actual policy.
Yeah, no, our
stating-
policy will have it in there.
Okay.
They will be
Okay.
equipped with emergency
Great.
seatbelt cutters, yes.
Great, okay, thank you. Next, we have, okay. Deputy Superintendent Matt Tudor, if you want to go through 6.1 through 6.4.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I come before you today to seek approval for our personnel report. I really don't have a lot to say on there. We're actually only, I believe, one person and then just HR business on there. Okay. And then 6.2, I'm proposing approval for a contract with SHP Leading Design for Architectural Services for a new pre-K through 2 building district-wide improvements, design, build, energy efficient improvements. So SHP has been with us through the long haul of this, absolutely great partners, and we're thrilled to continue to work with them. And then 6.3 is follow-up from work session, seeking approval for a resolution, approval of a resolution to accept the final ranking recommendation and to award the contract for construction manager at-risk services related to the board's district-wide improvement project. So it's my recommendation that you name HGC the top ranked firm and then authorize Ms. Stacey or her designee to negotiate a contract with them.
Great, okay. Can I get a motion for the approval of items 6.1 through 6.3?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Bab?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Schleifer?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Yes.
All right, and then finally, for me, 6.5, today I seek the approval of our athletic report, which has one name, various district temporary athletic reports on it.
Great. Can I get a motion for the approval of the athletic report?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bab?
Yes.
Palage?
Yes.
Goods?
Yes.
Schleifer?
Yes.
Stuckey?
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, next we have 7.1 Leadership Board County, and I'm going to speak to this. I am working with both of the districts where I'm on the board with the Career Center and here. There's a lot of networking and leadership growth opportunities with any of the leadership, Dayton Leadership Board County, all of them have different programs. So I would like to, I have applied to that. There is a cost to it, so I've asked both districts to cover half of the cost since I'll be representing the Career Center in Springboro and attending. It's a year-long program. So I go once a month and there's a couple of retreats where the whole intention is for you to really see what other work's happening in Warren County. And I think with everything that we have going on, this is a great opportunity to make, to make some new contacts. So that is my request is for the board to use part of our $20,000 that is set aside for professional development, is to use 1,350 of it so that I can attend if I am selected. So can I get a motion for the approval of the support of leadership Warren County for me?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Oh, questions? No. Oh,
Quick,
Dave does.
on the cost, it's 2,700, but are we a member of the chamber?
Chamber, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are. So we get the reduced.
Gotcha.
Yep, yep.
I don't have a question, because I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's really well.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Bath,
Abstain.
Palage,
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Schleifer.
Yes.
Stuckey.
Yes.
Great, thank you guys, appreciate the support. 7.2, announcements and future considerations. Sarah?
First of all, thank you to the guests who came here tonight for various different presentations. I really appreciate the secondary curriculum and Mr. Martin for presenting kind of like some upcoming glimpse of what's coming down the pipe with the program of studies. I think there's a lot of great things. Some of those things that are coming are actually some things I think that are good for our kids that came out of the state. Not too much, right, that comes out that's good. But anyway, but I do think, that is a huge thing for our kids, and I love seeing those up-and-coming things. And then again, thank you for the donations. Quite a generous month for donations. I really love the idea too of the group, what was it, the Friends, the Friends Funding the Future Fund. I think that's an awesome opportunity for kids who, may not be able to pay off their fees and be able to graduate. So I think that's great.
Yeah, great. I had a similar sentiment when reading that. It's just great to see the community stepping up, like they've done with the lunch fund to meet those needs of our students who may, be faced with that barrier to graduate. So just really appreciative of that and all the other ways that our community steps up to support our students. Thank you again to our guests, both from the National Math and Science Initiative. That's really exciting to hear. Appreciate the partnership and working with us in a much needed area to bring that development to our staff. And then thank you to HGC and SHP. Got to make sure I get my acronyms right. But really looking forward to having you on board to work with us on very exciting projects. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, really appreciate the continued focus on what's next in terms of our education opportunities for all of our students. I mean, it's again we are very near the top in terms of our academic performance, but it's great that we're always pushing the boundaries and looking for opportunities, new partners, and I think this is a great example. Again, I think the data on the need for future STEM people that occupy those jobs, it's a pretty compelling data. So I think Springboro is definitely a fertile ground for finding those students. So that's exciting. I know I've got two in my family that are trending that direction. So that's really exciting. And appreciate all the donations. Appreciate the update on the food service. It's exciting what we're doing there too. It's great that we've always got to focus on kids' health. I agree with Mr. Palage. Good to work with SHB and continue to work with you guys, and looking forward to HGC. And I think exciting days ahead for us. So really appreciate that you guys are going to be our partners for many years to come. So thank you.
I have to repeat everything. Thank the people that presented tonight, the different activities and things that are coming up. Welcome to our guests, and I can't wait to see the results of what you guys are going to do. It'll be close to the last year on the board, which will be great to see before I go out the door, I guess. All the donations is incredible. My son was involved in ROTC, and there always seems to be something that is given there. And then of course, the foundation, Cook Family Foundation. Not sure if you guys know, but that was started years ago. One of our teachers' husbands was killed while trying to save some people down in North Carolina on vacation. He drowned, and so for a few years it was set up here like a festival of sorts, and so now they set it over to the foundation, which has taken care of the money, and it's added up, obviously, for a number of years. And that field down there is it'll be a great thing for our community, because it'll be used by the Pee Wee kids, and for their lacrosse and football. So it'll be pretty neat to see when that's completed. I think that's it. Thank you.
I think all of us have spoken about the donations, and when you think about the Cook Family Fun Day, I just think that's representative of our community, that people come together and figure out where is there a need, and we're there to meet it. So many great donations, and I love it because it's all the way from like an ROTC to, there's just a lot of different things. It's not like it's all athletics or all arts or whatever. So that's amazing. Visitors, all of you that came, it's fun having people here, so we're not just speaking into, just to the administrative team. So thank you guys for coming and spending your evening. Teachers that are here, you guys don't have to be here, so thank you for spending the time and caring enough to share out if there's information that would be helpful for other teachers and staff to know. And the last thing is just the presentation tonight. I think, whether we're 4 stars, 5 stars, that's incredible, but to see how you guys have dug into the data and saying what can we possibly do, and to figure out where is that gap and how can we hone in on that. I just think I appreciate that we're not just okay with here, because here is still good, but it was really exciting to me to see the different opportunities and just what we're thinking about with career tech and the partnerships and stuff. So I appreciate that. That's all I had. Do you guys have anything?
There won't be a snow day on Friday because Mr. Lotsway needs to have the social Friday afternoon for the junior high students. So no snow day. But no, I'm super excited to partner with HGC. Our community said yes overwhelmingly, and we are going to go down that water slide with you guys starting January 6th with a long meeting to get this process going. So it's going to be good.
Awesome. Okay. 8.1, we have executive session, RC 121.22 G1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, and there might be board action following executive session.